Welcome back, dear students of class 7. Today we are going to discuss part 2 of the chapter Computer Hardware Components. Okay, students, in the part 1 of this chapter, we had talked about what is hardware, what is software, okay, what are different types of hardwares. In different types of hardware, we talked about the internal hardware, okay, and external hardware. Then we took a dive into internal hardware. We started studying about the internal hardware, and we came to know that the internal hardware is that hardware which is fitted inside the CPU cabinet. Okay, CPU cabinet. Then the first and most important internal hardware that we studied in the previous part was the motherboard. And we studied that the motherboard is the main circuit board of the computer, okay, through which and it is made up of a rigid plastic sheet, okay, and all the different internal hardwares are connected to the motherboard, okay, and motherboard is also mounted inside the CPU cabinet. So this we talked about motherboard, and we also talked that the main components of motherboard are the processor chip, okay, the BIOS or the basic input output system, okay, the different memory chips like RAM, ROM, okay, etc., and external storage controllers for video display and sound, and expansion slots for connecting additional circuit boards. So we studied that there are expansion slots for connecting additional circuit boards. Okay, so today we are going to start with PCI. We are going to start our lesson with PCI. What is PCI? So let's talk about PCI. The first thing that you need to know is the full form of PCI. The full form of PCI is Peripheral Component Interconnect. What is it? Peripheral Component Interconnect. Okay. First, let me explain you what is the meaning of this word peripheral. What is the meaning of peripheral? Students, a peripheral device, okay, peripheral device. A peripheral device is a device which is connected to a computer to add functionality to the computer, add new functions to the computer, okay, those devices which are connected to the computer to add functionality to the computer, those hardware devices are called as peripheral devices. Okay, students, for example, a mouse, okay, now mouse are of different categories. On a laptop you get a trackpad, but if you connect a USB mouse to your laptop, then that will be a peripheral device. Okay, in the same manner, you have different types of monitors available, okay, LCD, TFT, and so on. Okay, then a printer and a scanner, they are also peripheral devices. Okay, if you connect a big speaker to your computer, okay, then that is also a peripheral device. Okay, so all these mouse, keyboard, printer, okay, monitor, scanner, speaker, microphones, different types of microphones, all these devices come in the category of peripheral devices. Okay, now peripheral devices can be further divided into, they can be input type of device or they can be output type of device. That's a different thing. Okay, but peripheral devices are basically those devices that add functionality to our computers, or they add new functions to our computer. Okay, so we have already seen what the examples are. So what is PCI? PCI, or peripheral component interconnect, students, is used to connect these additional or peripheral devices to our computer. If you want to connect a speaker, okay, if you want to connect a additional speaker to your computer, where will you connect? You will connect it to the PCI card. See, this is how a PCI card looks. Okay, right now, see, this is one port for connecting, PS2 type of mouse. Okay, nowadays we get, PCI cards which have different USB slots. Okay, for example, the one which is shown in your book has a USB slot. Okay, and different devices can be connected to the computer. Different peripheral devices can be connected to our computer by using by connecting it to the PCI. Different ports provided on the peripheral component index, okay, or interconnect, sorry, or the PCI card. So different devices, different peripheral devices can be connected to our computer by connecting them to the PCI card. Okay, students. Now, the PCI or the peripheral component interconnect serves as a connection between a computer's motherboard, okay, and any connected hardware. That means this PCI card is mounted on the motherboard. Okay, this is the part from which it is connected to the motherboard. Okay, it is connected to a place which is called as PCI slot, which is present on the motherboard. A PCI slot is present on the motherboard, and this is the part which goes inside the motherboard, and this is the part which we can see outside our CPU cabinet. And these are the ports. There are many different types of ports that can be available on different types of PCI cards. Okay, students. Okay, now the PCI card transmits data and power between a computer and the peripheral device that is connected to it. Okay, and this PCI card was introduced by the Intel company in the year 1992. Okay, students, so this is about the PCI or peripheral component interconnect. Okay, now let's talk about the next internal hardware, which is called as the sound card. What is it called? Sound card. Okay, students. Okay, a sound card is a hardware component or a hardware device, okay, hardware part that is fixed either in an expansion slot. Okay, what is expansion slot? Again, expansion slot is a slot which we can use to add additional devices to our computer. Okay, or directly it can be connected to the motherboard. So either sound card can be connected to an expansion slot, okay, or it can be connected to a motherboard. Okay, and what does the sound card control? The sound card controls the input and output sound signals. Okay, it receives and sends out audio signals to and from the computer. Okay, that means a sound card is basically the ears and the mouth of a computer. Without sound card, the computer will be, it will be deaf. That means it won't be able to hear or take any sound input. Okay, and it will also be, it won't be able to output any sound also. Okay, so what does the sound card control? The sound card controls the input and output sound signals. Okay, it receives and sends the audio signals to and from the computer. So this is how a sound card looks like. This is the part where it is fixed on the motherboard. Okay, it is fitted on the motherboard from this side, and these are the different, can you see these different colored ports? Yes, these are the different ports. Okay, this is the microphone through which the sound can be, input inside the computer. Okay, then these are different output ports. Okay, students, so this is our sound card. Again, going through the sound card, a sound card is a hardware component that is fixed on the motherboard. Okay, it controls, what does the sound card control? It controls the input and output sound signals that it receives. Okay, and it also sends the audio signals out from the computer. So it receives the audio signals and it also transmits or sends the output signals out from the computer to the speaker. Okay, so this is your sound card, which is another internal hardware. Next, let's move on to uh, now let's talk something more about the sound card. Okay, a sound card converts digital data into sound. Okay, so you know a computer only understands binary language. Yes, so what does it do? When you input a sound signal, okay, when you input a sound signal inside your computer, you people use Alexa and different devices, right? Now you use that uh, Google's, Google Home's mini speaker, or those smart speakers that you get nowadays. Okay, when you use those kind of speakers, and uh, speak something, so that the device can search something, so actually you are giving the sound signals to the computer. Okay, so what does this computer do? Okay, or the sound card inside the computer do? It converts these sound signals into digital signals. Okay, and for output, again these digital signals are converted into the sound signals. Okay, for example, if you ask the Alexa speaker, what is today's temperature? Please tell Alexa, please tell me what is today's temperature. So Alexa will take the sound signal that you send to the computer, it will convert into the digital data. Okay, and then it will give the sound card again a digital output, and that digital output will be again converted to the sound data by the sound card. So this is the use of sound card. So a sound card converts the digital data into sound and vice versa. Vice versa means digital to sound and then sound back to digital. Okay, it enables the computer to reproduce sound, play music through the output devices like speakers, headphones, and record audio with microphones. So right now I am also recording my lecture, right? Okay, I'm recording my voice. Na inside in this video I'm recording the voice. So the sound card inside my computer is recording my voice. Okay, with the help of microphone. Okay, students, so without a microphone and the sound card, I won't be able to record my voice. Okay, students, so separate PCI sound cards are used to get higher quality sound. Suppose you purchase a very cheap laptop or a computer, then you will get a sound card with a very low quality sound. And if you want to enhance your sound experience, then you will have to purchase separate PCI sound cards. Okay, students, so this is about the sound card. Okay, simply let me put sound card in a simple words. It is an internal hardware, okay, which controls the input output sound signals of your computer. Okay, now moving on. Next internal hardware is the video card. Now students, video card is a very important uh, hardware component, internal hardware. You might also know video card by another name, which is called as the graphics card. You must have heard of this graphics card. Those students who might have played uh, games on your computer, high graphic games, they might know about this graphics card. Okay, so if there's no graphics card in your computer, you will not be able to play good quality games, or you might not be able to see good quality ultra HD quality movies or videos on your computer. So for that you require graphics or the video card. Okay, so let me formally introduce you to the video card. The video card is an expansion card, okay, that is used to generate video output to display screen such as monitor, TV, or a projector. So what does the video card do? It is used to generate video output on the display screen such as a monitor. Okay, it is also known as graphics card. We have already covered this. Okay, video card is used to enhance the quality of displayed images. If you want to enhance the your video experience on your computer, on your this monitor or your TV or your projectors, then you might have to install a video card in your computer. Okay, now a video card contains its own processing and memory unit. That means video card, some video cards which are very costly, those video cards contain their own CPU inside them. Okay, that's why they are very expensive. Okay, so video card contains its own processing system and the memory unit. Okay, the computer has its own CPU and the memory unit. Okay, but some video cards which are very expensive have their own CPU and memory unit, and then video card is connected to the motherboard. These type of video cards are connected to the motherboard via accelerated graphics port, or we can call it AGP. You can also connect your video card to your PCI that we studied just now. See, this is the part that is inserted into the motherboard. See, it's written over here. This is the part that is inserted into the motherboard. Okay, students. So to connect your to enhance your video experience, you need to have a graphics card or video card on your computer. Okay, and video card can be connected to your computer via accelerated graphics port. In short form we call it AGP port, or we can also connect video card or graphics card via the PCI or peripheral component interconnect. Okay, students, so this is it about the video card. Let me quickly revise what is video card. Video card is an expansion card that is used to generate video output on the display screen such as a monitor, TV or a projector. Okay, video card is also known as graphics card, and video card is used to enhance the quality of displayed images on your computer. It is used to enhance the quality of displayed images. Okay, students, let's move on to the next internal hardware, that is your CPU. Now we come to the one of the most important component, that is the CPU or the central processing unit. Okay, so students, this is how a central processing unit or the processor or the microprocessor looks like. This is your CPU, students. Okay, earlier you used to think that the CPU cabinet is your CPU, but no, this is your CPU. Okay, so the CPU is the main unit of a computer. Okay, it is also referred to as, or it is also called as the microprocessor. So you can call your CPU as processor or microprocessor. Okay, now it controls the instructions it receives from the hardware. Okay, so whatever, the hardware can be internal or external. So through, with the help, for example, with the help of external hardware, what do? We click on the mouse buttons, or we click on the keyboard buttons. Both are external hardware. Mouse and keyboard are external hardware. So when we click on them, what are we doing? We are giving instruction to the computer. So whenever we click on the mouse or the keyboard, okay, that instruction is sent to the CPU, and CPU controls these instructions that it receives from the hardware devices. Okay, and it also controls the software which are running on the computer. Okay, so who controls the hardware and software? Both. The CPU. Okay, students, then the CPU is a small piece of silicon chip. See, this is that silicon chip. See, this is the small piece of silicon chip. Now you might have heard of silicon. You must have heard of silicon in chemistry. The chemical symbol for silicon is Si, yes, and its atomic number is 14. You must have heard of this element silicon in your chemistry subject. Okay, so CPU is made up of this element silicon. Okay, actually it is 25%. This component, sorry, this this thing is made up of 25% silicon is used in it. Okay, silicon dioxide compound. Okay, so that's why the places in countries where most IT work is done, like Bengaluru, in a country, Bengaluru is called as the Silicon Valley of India. Why Silicon Valley? Because Bengaluru is the IT city. Yes, many IT companies are over there. They use lots of computers, right? That's why it is called as the Silicon Valley. Okay, so our CPU is made up of a silicon chip, and it is placed inside the CPU socket. Look at this is the CPU, and this person is placing this CPU inside this CPU socket. Okay, can you see this? Okay, now it is usually in shape of a square or a rectangle. So you have seen that. Okay, and it contains millions of transistors that perform variety of functions. So these transistors, students, are the are the small circuits which are used by the computer to do computation. Okay, students. So it contains millions of transistors. What contains millions of transistors? This small chip. That's why it is called as the microprocessor. Okay, these transistors are the small circuits present inside the CPU or the microprocessor, and they are present in the millions of quantities in such a small space. Okay, students. Now the speed of the CPU, okay, the speed of the CPU is determined by number of instructions that it executes in a single seconds. Okay, and it is measured in megahertz. See, CPU speed in megahertz. Na? Yes, you can see this over here. There are 4 cores inside this CPU, and it is having a CPU speed of 2321.16 megahertz. So what is unit is, what is the unit of CPU speed? Megahertz. Okay, students, and it is determined by the number of instructions executed by the CPU in 1 second. Okay, students. Now students, there are many components of CPU. Okay, 3 components: memory unit, okay, the ALU or the arithmetic and logical unit, and the CU or the control unit. So let's talk about them. You have already studied these 3 units in your previous classes. Okay, so what is memory unit? Memory unit is the principal storage of unit of the computer. So all storage related devices, okay, are in contact with the memory unit of the CPU, and the memory unit stores both data and instructions when they are entered into the computer. Okay, so CPU's memory unit is responsible for all the storage related functions. Okay, then comes the ALU or arithmetic and logical unit. Now ALU or arithmetic and logical unit, this unit performs arithmetic and logical operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. So all the calculation related things are done inside the ALU or the arithmetic and logical unit. And the third unit is called as the control unit. Okay, so control unit controls the operation of every other component of the system. Okay, all the other components or parts of the computer, okay, their operation is controlled by the control unit. Okay, Now control unit also controls the transfer of data and instructions among different parts of the computer. Different parts of the computer, they communicate with each other with the help of data and instructions. Yes. And who controls this transfer of data and instructions? The control unit. Okay, students. So this was all about the control CPU. Okay. Now let's talk about RAM. Okay. RAM, as you know, the full form is random access memory. Okay. Now RAM is a type of memory that is available for the operating system, programs and processes to use when the computer is running. Okay. Whenever students we click on any particular application or a software, okay, it gets stored inside the RAM. Okay. And then when we close it, the RAM is refreshed. Okay. Now RAM can be accessed randomly at any time. That's why it is called random access memory. Okay. Now students, one very important thing about RAM is that whatever information we enter in the computer, okay, goes into the RAM and remains there, okay, until the machine is working. Okay. Until the machine is working, that means till the time that we switch on the computer. As soon as we switch off the computer, all the data all the information that we enter into that was entered into the RAM gets deleted. That is why it is called a volatile memory. Volatile means something that can get destroyed. Okay. Non volatile means something that cannot get destroyed. So whatever we store inside, whatever information we store inside the RAM gets deleted, okay, from the RAM when we shut down the computer. That's why it is called as the volatile memory. And therefore the data and instructions are stored temporarily. Whatever data and instructions are stored inside the RAM, they are stored temporarily, not permanently. Okay. When you switch off your computer, okay, or there is some power failure, the data is completely erased from the RAM. Okay. That's why RAM is a volatile type of memory. Okay, students, this is how a RAM looks like. Okay. Now RAM is of two types, static RAM and dynamic RAM. Okay, we will study about static and dynamic RAM in the higher classes. Okay, students. For example, students, RAM is like a blackboard that is constantly overwritten with new data. How RAM is like a blackboard? See, students, the teachers, they come into the class. Okay, suppose first period is going on. Okay, in the first period the teacher is teaching maths. Okay, so the teacher has solved some numericals on the board, on the whiteboard. Okay, and then when the bell goes off, that teacher goes out and another subject teacher comes in. Now what will that subject teacher do? That subject teacher will rub everything from the board, and then that subject teacher will write something else related to his subject. And when this subject teacher's period gets over, then new teacher will come. That new teacher will again delete this data. So this is how a RAM works. Okay, that's why RAM is like a blackboard that is constantly overwritten with new data. That means we constantly write new data in it and delete the old data. The old data gets deleted. Okay, students. Now the next type of memory is the ROM. Okay, ROM stands for read only memory. Now you have studied about ROM in the previous classes also. Okay. So ROM is a type of memory which we can only read information, okay, but cannot write on it. See, students, on RAM the data was constantly overwritten. That means data can be written into the RAM and then it can be erased from the RAM. But ROM is a type of memory from which we can only read. We cannot write we cannot write anything inside the read only memory. Okay, we can only read the information which is present in the ROM. Okay, it is, sorry, it is non volatile. Now I told you what is the meaning of what is the meaning of volatile. Volatile means something that gets destroyed or easily erased. Yes, so RAM was volatile, but ROM is non-volatile. Non-volatile means what? The information that is stored inside the ROM is stored permanently. Okay? Even when the system or the computer is turned off, this information will not be erased. It will not be erased. It cannot be erased. Once some instructions are written inside this ROM, okay, this is the ROM. This is how the ROM looks. Okay, once the information is written inside this ROM, then it cannot be deleted. Okay, students? Then data stored in ROM can neither be modified nor erased easily. Okay? Then a ROM stores instructions required to start a computer. Okay? Now see students, what does this means is that you might have seen, you might have switched on your computer. Yes? Every time you switch on your computer, you see that same instructions are shown every time. Yes, it doesn't happen like this na ki one day you start the computer, it is showing HP logo. Another day you start your computer, it will show Lenovo's logo. No, it will show the same instructions again and again. You know why? Because that data related to the starting of computer is stored inside the ROM, and ROM is a permanent type of memory. Anything that is stored inside the ROM can neither be deleted nor modified. Okay, students? Now, there are three types of ROM: PROM, EPROM, and double EPROM. Okay? PROM stands for Programmable Read Only Memory. Okay? EPROM stands for Electrically Programmable Read Only Memory, and double EPROM stands for Electrically Erasable Programmable Read Only Memory. Okay, this is the only type of ROM that can in which the data stored can be modified, but that too electrically. Okay, now example, ROM is like a audio video disc. Okay, it is not the audio video disc, it is just like an audio video disc. You must have seen those CDs in which movies are there, or songs are there, the music CDs which are called as music CDs. You can only read the data or the songs. You can read the data or the songs that are inside that CDs. Actually, you cannot read, the computer will read, and you can hear the output. Yes, but you cannot change anything. Okay, once the songs are burned on a CD, the disc contents cannot be changed. Okay, it is like an audio video disc. Okay, it is not, the audio video disc is not a ROM. Okay, then ROM chips are not only used in computer, but they are also used in microwave and washing machine and different electronic devices. Okay, in your smart ACs also they are used. Okay, ROM chips or read only memory chips. What do they contain? They contain data and instructions which can never be changed or modified. Okay, it is just opposite to the RAM. Okay, students? Now let's talk about the disk drive. Okay, what is a disk drive? Okay, a disk drive is a hardware component in a computer that enables the user to read, write, delete, and modify data on a storage disk. Okay. Now students, what is the meaning of read? Read means whatever data is present on the storage disk, you can read the data or you can access the data. Okay. What is the meaning of write? Write means that you can add new data to the disk. Okay. And you can also modify the data which is present in the disk, and you can also delete the entire data which is present on the disk, which you these three things you cannot do with the ROM. You cannot do with the ROM. Okay. Now it is a storage disk. So disk drives are basically used for data storage. They are basically used for data storage on a computer. Okay. If you create a word file on your computer, and if you save it, then it will be saved on your storage drive or disk drive. Okay students. Now, drives are of several types, such as a hard disk. See this. This is how a hard disk looks like. Okay. So this is the place on which all your files are, computer files are saved. Okay. Which is called as a hard disk drive. So this is your hard disk drive. This is what your hard disk drive looks like. Okay. The CD or the DVD drive. This is the CD or the DVD drive which is present on your computer, inside which you insert your CDs and DVDs. Okay. The most commonly used disk drive is the hard disk drive. So the most commonly used hard disk drive is your hard disk drive, which is present in almost all the computers. Without this hard disk drive, you cannot store data on your computer. Okay students. The next internal hardware is the SMPS. First, let me talk about what is the full form of SMPS. The full form of SMPS is Switched Mode Power Supply. What is the full form? Switched Mode Power Supply. Okay. Now, what is the use of SMPS? It is essential for safe running of power consuming electrical and electronic appliances. Okay. What does it means? That in order to protect all your electronic components that are inside your computer, SMPS is used. Okay. SMPS uses a switching regulator. What is switching regulator? It is just like your fan regulator. Have you seen how you control the speed of your fan with the help of a regulator? Yes, you with the help of a regulator you can control the speed of your fan. In the same manner, there is a switching regulator, okay, inside the SMPS. Okay, as inside the SMPS device. I'll show you very soon how an SMPS device looks like. What it does? This switching regulator, it controls and stabilizes the output voltage, okay, by switching the load current on or off. Now I'll tell you the meaning of this entire sentence, okay, with a short example. Okay. Now see students, what happens is that you have seen sockets like this at your home. Now you connect your you give power to your computer by connecting a plug over here, plugs, something like this. Now this plug is inside this, right? So this socket, that is these sockets that are inside your homes, okay, they provide you they are called as AC mains. Okay, they are called as AC mains or alternating current mains. Okay, these sockets contain very high voltage current, a current of very high voltage. Okay, this socket contains a current of very high. So this contains a very high voltage, a voltage of 220 volts. How much? In India we get a voltage of 220 volts in our AC mains. Okay, but our computer requires low voltage, and that too direct current. Okay, a computer or the CPU just requires 3.3 volts. So this is very high. Yes, this is very high voltage current, and if this high voltage current directly goes to a CPU, it will destroy it. Okay, so what do we require? We require a regulator. That regulation, okay, that conversion of this 220 volts to 3.3 volts is done by the SMPS, or switched mode power supply. It supplies a low voltage direct current to our computer. Okay, so what does an SMPS do? It always supplies a well regulated power to the motherboard and other parts of the computer and saves the power. We don't require 220 volts that comes into our AC mains. We just require 3.3 volts or 5 volts, or some devices in our computer just require 12 volts, not more than this. Okay. So who does this work? The SMPS. Okay, students. Now SMPS also has a built-in fan to release the excessive heat produced during the time when the computer is in use. Okay. So students, so SMPS contains a built-in fan also. Okay, what does this built-in fan do? It releases the excessive heat which gets produced when our computer is in use. Okay, so this is the use of SMPS. I hope you understood everything from this lecture. It's always already been a very long lecture. Okay, students, so I'll see you in the next lecture where we will study about modem, heatsink, and different ports which are used inside the computer. Till then, take care of yourselves. Be well. Bye bye.